Hello. Can you hear me, Richard?
Yeah, hey Christina, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, we're surviving. Uh, I go in for another MRI tomorrow.
Oh no. Still more back trouble?
Yeah, it's this time they think it's a slip disc. So,
That's not good.
so where is all of our other fearless wallers? Mike Gantic said he was going to be a little bit late. Everyone else said they were going to show up.
All right.
Did you get my email regarding my change of email addresses?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And I just sent an email to you. That's the just a list of the um, pages on the website and notes of what I did. It's just an FYI. You don't need to do anything with it, but I just thought it'd be useful. Um,
Yeah, I've spent literally the entire day today trying to update because I had used originally the SBC Global email
yeah.
because at the time my uh, iPhone would not let me put the uh, Google emails on the iPhone. And I figured out a work around that. So now I can put the Google emails on my iPhone. But so I had basically switched everything to the SBC Global, and now they turn around and withdrawn all the support from it. So I've got literally hundreds of accounts that's got that stupid email on it, and I can only access it for a limited time if I log on to AT&T and go to email on there and read it on their site. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Dick. I don't know. My video is kind of acting wonky, but I hope you can hear me.
Good. That'll work. Mike, you got back from your golf. Gigantic.
Well, actually, it's funny because, Dick, my mom has a sbcglobal.net email address as well. And I just spoke to her after I saw your email and I said, do you know this? And what are you doing to prepare? And she's like, what? I haven't heard anything. I'm fine. I have a feeling her email is going to shut down and she's going to be very upset.
Yeah, well, the first indication I had is that I use Outlook for all my emails. So I have multiple accounts on Outlook, and then all of a sudden, the SBC Global one would not update on Outlook, and that's when I went on to AT&T directly to look at it, and the only place I could get it on there is if I logged on to AT&T, and I went back through some previous emails that I had, and that they had said that they were going to stop support of it. So it depends how she looks at her emails. If she uses Outlook to put everything together, she's got a problem. If she goes on to AT&T or Yahoo directly, then she can still read them on there for a while.
Okay, yeah, I think that's what she does. So that might be why she hasn't noticed it.
And the bottom line is the SBC Global was like grandfathered in when AT&T took over, Southwest Bell and a few other of the mini bells. So it was kind of in there because they didn't want people to have to give up their emails. But I thought initially 2 or 3 years ago when they did it, it was going to go away. But at any rate, it's amazing how many hours that I spent today changing email addresses on accounts.
Yeah, it can take a long time.
Hey, Mike, you on there?
I'm here. I'm driving, so I just lost some cell service. That's why. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. And we lost Bob. He was on.
Yeah, I'm still here if you can hear me.
Okay, we can see you. And we got Margot on.
Hello. Get rid of the window in my back here so you can actually see me. Not that you need to or want to, but
We need to get one more folk on to have a quorum. John Redenmeyer said he was going to log on. And John Calarisi said he might be a little bit late. So Margaret, we finally opened up the chocolate liqueur and tasted some the other night. And it was as good as it was when we had it at your place.
oh, good. I hope you gave it a good shake after it sat all that time.
I think we did.
Yeah, you really got to shake it up because it does, when it sits for a while, the chocolate likes to sink a little bit. So make sure you shake it with all you got before you enjoy it. But I'm glad to hear that. We've been working on another batch and another batch to come. So we've been busy with chocolate.
Christina, do you know what we're talking about?
Yes. Westford Distillery, right? And the
Yep.
special chocolate liqueur, and you partnered with some other
Yeah,
organization
I think we
to do that?
talked about it our last meeting a little bit, right? Or after the meeting, maybe.
Oh, Margaret, well, we've got you on. The homepage for the EDC website has
Yep.
got to focus on a business. And what we wanted to do is do a focus on Westford Hill. So we'll need to get some verbiage of some of the multiple awards that you guys have had and put that on with some pictures to like Christine to put that on the website.
Sure. I mean, we won't be open to the public for another few weeks. I mean, it would certainly be easy because you've got sort of inside connection, but I wonder if, timing wise, we focus on someone like Sean Patrick's or, something that's got kind of like, he's not open all the time. He's really only open this season. I wonder if, I mean, I'm not playing hard to get, but just, if in the interest of the fact that this is his hot season and we're not quite open, if that would make sense. Thank you.
We don't have much time.
Oh,
I can do whatever you guys want. Just let me know what you want.
Christina, is Sean part of the ABA?
They are. Yep. And they're pretty responsive. So if I reached out to them, I'm sure I could. And you know what, honestly, I could use some plants. So I could go over there and take some photos if they don't have any and just do a little blurb about them. That would be no problem.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay. Do you know, because I could show you guys the website. If you can make me, I think you have to make me the host or
share your screen somehow, Dick?
Yeah, I think, Dick, you have to give me that power. I don't think I have it without your permission.
We have to get one or two more folks on, so we've got a quorum here.
Okay, there is a button here that says claim host, so maybe I can do that. Do you want me to try it?
Go for it.
Let's see what happens here. Oh, it says enter the host key to claim host role.
Oh, what's the host key?
Yeah, I don't know.
My logon ID is capital ZOMME 4 Dick.
It's saying it's a number. It's a 6 to 10 digit number, it says.
Okay. See if I can figure out where it is here.
You should be able to just share your screen. There's a share button.
You see a share button on yours? Because I'm not seeing it on mine.
Down the bottom, it says share screen.
Yes, I don't see that, and I think it's because I'm not I'm like not a manager of this Zoom. If you can, because usually the manager of the Zoom can assign someone to like say you should be able to pick somebody to share their screen.
Well, unfortunately, that might be Mike D'Amato, since he's the one that set this thing up.
If you click on my video little square that shows me, there's 3 buttons next to it, or 3 dots usually in the screen, and that if you click on that, you might see an opportunity to make me.
It says chat and pin.
No, yeah, that's not it. Wait, here we go. Share screen. Wait a minute. Oh, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. So I guess you said, who is it? Somebody.
I think the host is Mike D'Amato, because he's
He
the one
set up the meeting.
He set up the meeting, and that's not good. We'll have to rely on rely on words as opposed to images, I guess, Christina.
Okay.
Okay, let's wait a few more minutes to get some more folk here so we can have an official meeting.
Richard, did you send out minutes?
In the last meeting, yes, I did. And I've got all sorts of screw ups relative to my emails. So, but I did send out minutes, and I sent them out using the Ashford EDC at
Yeah.
gmail.com.
Yeah, and the minutes I noticed are also on the Ashford EDC webpage, so the community can see the minutes also.
From our
last
March meeting? Oh, okay. Maybe I'll find it there then. Thank you.
Yeah. You should be able to. Dick, while we're waiting, are they going to be going live again with meetings at the town hall?
I don't know. The current thing I hear is there's no present plans to have any live meetings at the town hall. They haven't even opened up the library. So
Because I thought like by the 15th of May, I thought the state was kind of opening,
well, they are, but the word I hear from the town offices is basically they only have one town clerk, one assessor, and et cetera, et cetera. So if they open the town hall up and someone gets sick, then they don't have any capabilities. So they want to kind of keep it shut. So last word I heard was basically that the word was that they were going to keep it closed for the indefinite future.
Wow.
Now, and the problem we have here is that we usually have our meetings in that little small, committee room near the elevator, and everyone is sitting on top of each other there.
Right.
So the places we could meet would be at the big conference room, plenty of room to do it there, or over in Knowlton Hall. No one has opened those places up, or the senior center is also an option, but no one has opened those up to book.
Yep.
I talked to Christine Abakoff, and she says they're not booking any of those places right now. So we're in a shutdown. Contrast to surrounding towns, most of the surrounding towns are finding ways to open up.
Yeah, you would think if all members were fully vaccinated and 2 weeks beyond, and we were in a bigger venue like Knowlton Hall, masked up, you wouldn't think there'd be any ramifications.
Right.
Yeah, not wanting to talk political, but I will. The Republican Town Committee circulated a petition asking people what they thought about the town hall being open or closed. And 45 people responded that they wanted it open and 0 responded that they wanted it closed. So,
Yep.
I mean, it's up to, Catherine and the others in the town hall to decide what they want to do.
Right. I wonder if similar town halls are open like Wellington or not.
I believe Wellington is open. I know that Tolland is open.
Yep.
I know-
Mansfield is not, the town hall is not open yet, only by appointment only. They're talking about being open sometime this month, but they haven't made a specific decision. But our library is expanding its hours in, Mansfield and hopes to be, fully back to normal hours, I think by June 1 or something. So
Huh.
the library's kind of leading, is ahead of the town in terms of, being open to the public.
I believe Wellington Library is open because Gwen Halloran, who works there,
Yep.
and she's physically on site during the evenings.
Yep.
It's kind of an interesting, conundrum. We didn't want to go out long distance, so we hadn't been to the Midway for like a year or two. So we went to the Midway the other night, and we've both been vaccinated, so we figured it was okay. The Midway was literally on a Friday night, totally packed. I mean, there's probably 75 or more people there.
Wow.
And the people, the owner was there, trying to 10 bar, and there was one bartender and one waitress, and the service was horrendous. And I mean, this just isn't, and the gist that I got is that no one wants to go back to work because they can make more money collecting unemployment. So like Sandy, who's one of the long-standing bartender there, she's staying home because she's making more money staying home. And he just put a post on Facebook looking for bartenders and waitresses. Also saw some comments on the Ashford Dairy Bar to the same extent. They had all sorts of people showing up to buy ice cream, but no one to wait on them. And everyone was frustrated that there's no service because they don't have any help, and they've got advertisements for help too. So
Well, it's not unique to us. I mean, I think the Current wrote about it today, that restaurants are not, the seasonal help can't come in that they usually bring in from other countries, the college kids that come and live out Block Island or on the shore for the summer and do all that staffing. So they're not able to come in, and so there's going to be a real staffing shortage. My sister lives in Portland, Maine, and they were talking to a restaurateur the other day, and he's having the same issue. Can't quite get enough help, and then people are being nasty to the help that he does have. So,
well,
Right.
the equivalent per hourly wage that people are getting with combinations of enhanced unemployment benefits is almost just south of $20 an hour. So if you can make $20 an hour staying home, you're not going to get up and go to work.
Yeah, Dick, that was the big discussion at that subgroup that I'm been attending through NECOG and CCOG. That's exactly what they were talking about, is that the service industries are really hurting. A lot of people weren't getting employed, so they didn't have jobs, so they took jobs other places, or like I said, they were afraid to come back, and or they're collecting unemployment that's more than they can make coming back and working. So it's a big challenge. It's going to change the complexion of all the service industries. And it's not just the restaurants. It's the retail stores. They were even talking about some of the bands and people that play musical instruments, the arts. It's really been the changed the whole complexion.
I guess FedEx is really shorthanded.
Well, yeah, there's big signs outside there to hiring, and last time I checked, their starting wages were 17, 18 bucks an hour.
Right.
They have big signs up now, 22.50 to start as you
Wow.
get off the highway for the FedEx.
Our post office is having a hard time too.
Oh yeah.
We
I-
get mail once a week if we're lucky.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've stopped ordering anything from Amazon because Amazon uses the post office for the last mile. If instead I'm ordering from Walmart, who uses FedEx for the delivery. So at least I get the packages delivered that way. So we've entered into a upside down, topsy-turvy circumstance. Okay, where is our other folk? Because I know that Redenmeyer and both Johns said they would come.
Should I text John Rhett? I think I have his cell.
Yeah, why don't you try texting him? And I'll do the same with the other John. Gary Lawrence refuses to go on Zoom, so we won't see him. And
Right.
Dick, do you know what new business is going in near the small package store near Lake Chady? I know Chafee, they've been, it's like they've been working on it.
I'm not sure. It did change hands. That building is in really, really rough shape.
I can't imagine what business will be opening up because they can't get a liquor license. So,
Oh, why can't they get a liquor license?
because the town of Ashford is only allowed a certain number. I think it was 3. And the third one was by special decree. So the current owner let the liquor license lapse and you can't get it back. So now the town is only allowed 2 for, a package store type environment.
Huh.
So whoever goes in there, you can't get a liquor license.
The new owner of the old Smitty's sells beer. And then we've got the package store down on North Road. It was the old White House package store. And then we got the Ashford liquor store at 44 and 74. It's it's
By
interesting.
population.
Yeah.
It's permits by according to population, right?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, only so many, you have to have X per number of people.
I just texted John Calarisi.
And I guess so. I guess Westford Hill Distillery is a separate type permit for what you do.
Yeah, because we're actually a manufacturer. We're a manufacturing company that happens to have sales privileges. So yeah, Yeagle Technologies and us, right? We're the manufacturing firms in town.
Well, and Toolmax up by the exit 72,
Yep.
where the main line used to be.
Right.
And Pith Products is another one.
Yes.
They're kind of a manufacturer.
Yeah, one of those guys would also be a good feature on our website.
John Calarisi just said back, he's not home yet. Do you have a quorum? And I said, no. So he's working his way home. Terry Wakeman said he was going to be here when I last checked on who was coming.
I wonder if some folks still confuse the 7 o'clock,
7:30.
7:30 time.
I bet.
I don't have Terry's cell phone. I've only got his home phone. Anyone have Terry Wakeman's cell phone?
Can't say that I do, no. How's Ray doing, Dick? I haven't heard from Ray in a while.
He's doing okay. He did have a heart attack,
Oh, I did not know that.
That was like a month or two ago. And John Calarisi says he'll be with us in 5 minutes.
Oh, good. Okay.
He's with Mike Zambo and company right now. Any comment back from John Redenmeyer, Margaret?
No. No, I didn't call him. I just texted him.
This texting is an interesting circumstance. I find, well, it drives my wife crazy. Her daughter texts her left and right, and she says, just pick up the damn phone and call me. So Christina, do you think with the limitations that we've got with what we can do with this, you can explain what you've been doing?
Yeah, I'll just talk through it, and I'll make a recommendation on next steps. And I think it's in good shape. So.
Can you use shadow puppets?
I mean, I guess if I got really creative, I would have to print out screenshots and hold them up to the camera. I don't have a color printer, so that wouldn't work, but
and there's not a working link, right? Like a in progress link.
There is technically, but I think it was Dick and Mike were having a hard time getting it to work. Let me just email it to you guys, and maybe by some miracle you can log in.
I tried left and
the one thing I can say that I think might trip people up. This is the back. You have to log into the back end, and then you can view the site itself. And the one thing that trips people up, I think, is that there's a little button that says I'm not a robot, and you have to check the box when you log in. And if you don't check the box, it gives you an error. And I think if you're not looking for it, you can miss the box, and then you're like, oh, it didn't work. It didn't work. So I just emailed the info to everybody. If you're at your, some of you are at your computer. If you want to try logging in, then you'll be able to see the site potentially.
does it work with a certain browser and not with another browser? I mean, I was using Firefox and I couldn't get even to a login screen.
Yeah, I use Firefox. So
Okay, so we can do this officially. It's 7:30. So we're called to order 7:30. We have no cedents of audits. We've got approval of the minutes from last month.
I move to approve the March minutes.
Get a
Second.
second? Mike, second,
I seconded.
Second.
or John did?
Good evening, everyone, by the way.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hey, John.
Okay. Our budget. Basically, we spent no money other than what we've obligated for Christina. And we're going to talk about where that stands and what other funds we might allocate. One of the things that I had thought is that some of the items to populate the MyCT Ashford page might be something that we could ask Christina to do. Bob, you could probably talk more about that when we get to there. But is there any comments on budget at this point? Okay, accept the budget. Motion,
I move to accept the budget as presented.
I second the budget as presented.
I do have a question before we vote. Normally, we have to close out and get all of those, our invoices into the town by like the first week of June, right? Or something like that. So if
That's
we are
correct.
going to make any additional commitments out of this, we should really figure out what those are right away.
yeah, and what I would ask, since the only expenditures we've got outstanding at present are those with Christina. When you've got an idea of the expenditures against the website, if you simply send me via a email PDF, a invoice, then I can turn that over to Cheryl Baker and she will pay you directly. So when we're close to that, we'll do that. Then this other item will, we need to get that before June's come along. And if I know it's coming, I can usually talk to Cheryl Baker and she will leave the window open a few weeks into the first weeks of June. But by and large, we need to get all those things obligated, in the month of June. So we have communications. Any announcements at this point? I think, Mike, you had something relative to the call for proposals. Still there, Mike?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the only communication there is a communication. I don't have the agenda in front of me because I'm driving, but board of selectmen element there. Or is that next down on the agenda?
Can you say that again, Mike? He must be getting close to home. He's starting to fade away.
All right.
And wait till that. works.
Mike, Can you
Mike,
hear us?
I think that you had information on a RFQ for submissions for transportation related subjects that you had sent out. Am I stating that correctly?
Well, there he goes.
I think he must be going through a dead spot.
Yeah, I think we just lost him.
Yeah, Mike, you had sent out a email for the guidelines for submission for a transportation grant.
Correct. Yes, on community connectivity grant.
Yep.
Yes. Everybody take a look at that, please.
Yeah, I did, printed it out. Looks very promising.
Yeah, I mean, I did forward a communication to the first select woman indicating that this is something that at least our town, our future was looking to pursue, and that we would be working with EDC, and that I think there's some legwork we all have to do, like I talked about the last time, in order to kind of grease the track, so to speak, because I mean, there'd be a commitment of funds on the town side to pursue it.
So Mike, this wouldn't be a grant type of situation? The town would have to come up with the funds?
It is a grant up to, I think, 600,000 was the last thing, but there's the town has to come up with the design fees. So I'm guessing if, design fees can be 10-15% of the actual grant amount. So and $100,000 for design of at least, I'm guessing, probably minimum for the type of trail system or bikeway. So that'd be a budgetary item that I'm sure that people would want to have discussions about.
Can you say the number again, Mike? What you think design would
It's
cost?
usually probably between, I'm guessing, $60,000 to $100,000. And that would be the town's share of the project. So that's something, obviously a big nut that the town would probably have wanted to talk, and we'd have to make sure that everybody was committed to it.
The real issue here is there's two opportunities. One is Nord's bike lanes on 89. And the other is, and too bad we don't have Ray on board, because he claims there is a path through the woods next to 44 that would connect West Ashford to Warrenville. Not knowing where that is and what would be, that's really the other, open item. But those are the only two things that I think I could see that would be subject for grant, other than trying to get the next step done on the RSA for exit 74 and 44. But in terms of transportation, those two are really transportation issues. So I think at this point, our action would be to, and I think, Mike, you've already approached Catherine on this. Is that true?
Yes, I kind of gave her a heads up that this is something we might be looking at, so that we would want to, have a discussion about it, and that the board, our town, our future, and EDC would be kind of pulling our heads together to decide which direction we wanted to go, and then we probably look to have a meeting with the Board of Selectmen to discuss what the strategy would be moving forward.
Okay, so in terms of that item, we've got no presentations.
No, not at this point.
Okay. News from other commissions.
Wait, before you leave communications, Dick, I wanted to report out that I have been attending a couple of Zoom meetings with local farmers. Many of them are actually from Ashford. Just to give you some background, the Yukon Cooperative Extension, specifically Jiff Martin, who's focuses on sustainability, apparently they got a grant for Northeast Connecticut to help create some sort of a unique brand that growers in this corner of the state can use for marketing their products. So you know that Connecticut has a Connecticut grown brand, and they've just kind of rebranded and kind of dusted that off and gave it a little bit of a new look. But this is a separate initiative. So they've hired quite a good ad agency out of Bridgeport and conducted a few sessions that these farmers have come in on. So Art Talmadge has been there, the Bottle Farm people have been there, the folks who went in where Tom Lockman's farm was, that have the red Devons on the corner of Cushman and 44. So it's been impressive to see, how many of our farmers have been engaged in this process, and they're moving from sort of the conceptual idea stage to actually coming up with some creative. So it just struck me because there are a lot of new farming faces, and Art and Sherry, but Art as the chair, was sort of in the mix as well, that we should, I think, continue to engage them, because they're clearly a group interested in marketing themselves, and how can we work with them once this brand does happen. And I think what they're trying to come up with is a way that consumers that buy this brand will feel good about that purchase, that that the purchase is doing something for your local economy, but it also is sort of a statement of pride on the part of the farmers in terms of the way they choose to farm and grow these crops. So I think there's going to be a lot to talk about there, and I'm sure they'll have a whole rollout plan, but I just wanted to get you all up to speed and get, at some point it might be worth inviting Art to join us to say, what can we do? You've got a whole ag commission, but what can we do to partner together to promote these local farms and what they're doing?
Nice.
Yep, I would support reaching out to Art and company to have them put on the agenda for a next meeting. And Margaret, could you do that reach out?
Whoops, sorry. Yes, I'd be glad to reach out to Art to make that happen.
The only thing I would add to this is that we ended up with a considerable amount of consternation with planning and zoning relative to the involvement of the Ag Commission in setting up land use regulations. And I think that the thing I would to make sure that we're managing expectations, we're asking them to come to us, not to become part of the committee, but to simply tell us what they think that we could do to help them without them being proactive to doing it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a segment of our business community. And like I said, it's some new faces. They've definitely got some momentum. So I think, it's, as a segment, it's something I think we can do something with.
Yeah, and my comment is only to manage expectations, because when we were revising some of the areas that impacted the agricultural areas on the land use regulations, it really got kind of over the top a little bit. So just a little bit of a caution there. We welcome their input, but they're not, the ones that's driving the activity.
That's why we would just start with Art, and just talk to him.
So, okay, moving along. We have no presentations. News from other committees. We had delivered to planning and zoning our petition to have them address the exit 72 regulations. That was met with a fair amount of resistance. The gist of the comments were that, well, gee whiz, a whole bunch of people showed up against doing anything at exit 72, so maybe we shouldn't change anything. My comment is that we're not asking that there be changes one way or the other to the regulations that would prohibit development. Every kind of development that would be done there would be done under a special permit, and anything would be subject to review. So after much going back and forth, I got the wherewithal to start the process to revise those. And Mark Schnabel has offered to help, and I've been working through trying to come up with some of those changes, basically putting together what is done in the surrounding towns. Long story short is that what is being asked by Ashford Realty Trust is definitely within concert to what is done in Mansfield and Tolland and South Windsor and other towns. I haven't had the time to do all of them. I've had a few other things on my plate. Actually, part of my issues with getting my back taken care of. Have not been able to sit in my chair as long as I would like to. So I don't know if I told some of you, but I'm going in for another MRI tomorrow morning. So we'll see whether I need a second back surgery this year. We'll handle that one step at a time. But I will try to get that out and kind of keep that ball moving. The other thing that is going forward is that there was a survey sent out to all the lake associations asking for their input on what they wanted to see for land use regulations for those areas. The survey left open some of the things that would not necessarily be permitted within existing land use regulations, like expanding homes on an existing small footprint, and building homes in multiple stories that would block the access of the view of the lake from people behind them. But nonetheless, that is kind of going forward and won't be completed for another month or so. And then at that point in time, the next thing will be to try to revise the land use regulations for the lakes. The point I've put forth is that the most important thing should be to preserve the lakes in terms of the water quality, and that development should not be done to preclude impairment of the water quality. And surprisingly, about half of the people responded to that positively, but a lot of people really just want to build their large homes on the waterfront. So it's going to be an interesting set of discussions. Comments? Christina, you're not living in the Lake Chaffee area any longer.
No, but I would say, as someone who did live in that neighborhood, the number one thing that needs to happen is they need to change the charter so they can up the association dues, because you only pay $50 a year in dues in the Lake Chaffee neighborhood, and that is supposed to pay for the snow removal, and it doesn't. And that neighborhood is never gonna like advance if they can't actually keep up the roads the way that they need to be kept up. So to me, like the size of the houses is like the least of the concerns for the people in the neighborhood. But that's just my opinion.
On the phone for like 20 minutes.
Well, I think it's a good process that they started with a survey to engage them so that they know that there is something going on at town hall around this activity. It's important.
Being a little handful.
No, he is one poopy, so I'm
And of course didn't eat. I gave him his pill.
All right, is there any other reports from other committees?
At this point, no, we're working our way through on the finance committee. As most folks probably know, Cal Fellscraft passed away. So that left an open slot on the finance committee. My mind is losing me. One of the alternates has been put into his place, and
Varga. Mr.
Bob,
Varga.
Bob Graft. But John, help me. You're in on those things.
Thought it was Mr. Varga.
Yeah, but basically, the fellow that lives up off of Zajac on the opposite side of the Zajac farm, it has been kind of shadowing planning and zoning and finance. He ran for the alternate, so he was elected at a special town meeting.
Paul Varga.
Paul Varga, that's right. So that is kind of shaping the finance committee. Butch Simpson is still on the finance committee, but Butch's health pretty much precludes him from attending most meetings. So the finance committee is kind of loosely populated right now. And they're trying to come up with a budget. And there was discussions last night about what that'd be. I wasn't able to attend that one, but they're trying to come up with a budget that will not increase the mill rate. So, but that's going to be increasingly challenging depending upon what the state does as far as aid to the towns. We, I think, faced a 3.5% increase in mill rate last year, and right now the potential is for at least that much this year, which kind of puts us on the bleeding edge of being one of the highest mill rate towns in the immediate area. And that's pretty much because we really don't have much in the way of,
Commerce.
businesses, to help us, I mean, we don't, I think our biggest ratepayer is Eversource. And after that, it's Briley. So if we were to be able to have something get built at exit 72, the similar building at Willington increases the tax base by 30% by that FedEx facility. So something like that at exit 72 for us would make a major impact on the mill rate for the town. So it's something that we would like to see endorsed and supported by the current administration of the town. So far, not. So that's about what's happening with the rest of the town right now. I don't think we have anyone to speak much for the ABA since John Redenmeyer and Gary Lawrence are not here. Last I heard that they're still trying to figure out where, when they're going to hold the car cruises. Christina, you've been holding Zoom meetings for them?
Yeah, I can comment on that. It doesn't sound like the car cruise is likely anytime soon. Midway definitely doesn't want to host it, and the church is very hesitant. It sounded like they have to be very careful, obviously, with what they do, and they really need to go by what the diocese says. And the diocese doesn't sound like they're very interested in having any gatherings beyond just serving, their parishioners. So I would be surprised if a car cruise happens this year. It doesn't sound likely, and it may be in the fall, maybe the end of the summer, early fall.
Anyone considered holding it in the Pompey Hollow Park?
I know all the locations have been discussed. I know Terry's big thing, and he's really the one who kind of is the driver behind it. His big thing is always bathrooms, because I think it would be great to have at Ashford Memorial Park. It's a beautiful space, lots of room, playground for kids. But he really wants bathrooms, and there aren't bathrooms there. Pompey Hollow Park, you could use the senior center. I think there's maybe a little less room for parking there. But again, it's really Terry's baby, and it's kind of up to him.
The Ashford Memorial Park, there's 2 or 3 porta potties down there.
Yeah, no, Terry is very firm that his wife needs a flush toilet, and I don't blame him. And especially in COVID times, I think we all want running water, don't we? But then the other thing, I did follow up with the head of the Wyndham Chamber, and she's going to join the next ABA meeting, just talking about the tourism promotion efforts that the Wyndham Chamber is doing. So we are going to make that connection.
What, just for curiosity, what is the problem with the Midway? Because previously, when the car cruise was held there, it was the biggest draw that they had for the whole month.
Well, the original decision to leave Midway was they were just running out of room, and it was getting a little dangerous. There were a couple instances of people pulling out of there, and it wasn't quite safe. And also, I think there were some maybe lack of enthusiasm, we'll say, from the new ownership on hosting it, and so that was sort of that was my understanding of it. But Midway is still a member of the Ashford Business Association.
Okay. Moving along, old business 6. Mike, is there anything to report on your conversations with the owner of the old sneakers?
Yes, the Mark Pence had contacted me, and because we hadn't heard from the potential buyer. And apparently the gentleman was on vacation in Aruba. He allegedly returned this past weekend, and Mark had indicated that he was hoping that he was going to come to town and possibly have a conversation today. That did not happen, so I'll try to reconnect with Mark and see where it stands. But apparently the gentleman is still very interested in the site as a restaurant. He has a restaurant in Rhode Island. I think I mentioned the last time. So I guess we're in a waiting pattern, but apparently the man was out of the country, so that is why he hadn't made any contact since our last meeting. So I'll follow up tomorrow morning and see what goes on.
And I think there is a pent-up demand in town. I don't think that Gloria and I will go back to the Midway in the near future, but there was this past week, like over 75 people showed up there, and he had only him plus a waitress and a bartender trying to handle all those people. But I think that there was an indication that their people want to get out. Same way goes for the Ashford Dairy Bar. People want to get out. So I think if something were to, open at the old sneakers place before Robin had her implosion, that place did a pretty darn good business. I wouldn't necessarily talk about going there at 11 o'clock at night, but early in the evening, the place was packed. And all the special events that they had, they were packed. So I think the potential for doing something there again is high.
Is
So
there a new owner of that building? Or is this the same gentleman that we were helping him market, previously?
It's the same gentleman.
Okay,
I think the challenge with the restaurant, like we were talking earlier, is that it's just the employee availability of employees. That's I don't know if there's anything that we can do to help that, but it's I think that is the challenge with a lot of these restaurants right now.
and do we have any sense of the kind of restaurant he operates? What his,
I'll send you the link. I think I'll send you the link of the research I had found of his
okay.
place in Rhode Island. You can look at the menu there.
Yeah, just curious if it's kind of a tavern kind of a place, or if it's, just what the style is that he's thinking about. Of course, it may not be the same style as what he's got in Rhode Island. He may have something else in mind. So,
Right.
well, that's encouraging. It's a tough time to start, but it might be a good time to start. So,
Yeah, I think there's opportunity. There certainly is a need. I think if my memory serves correct, ironically, I think he's of Greek descent, so he had more of a Greek kind of approach. So it almost sounds like similar to Midway, but like I said, I'll send you the link of the place that he had and has in Rhode Island.
okay.
at one point in time, the owner of Thai Basil in Stafford Springs was interested in that too. He wanted to put something up that would compete with the Midway, but he decided to just concentrate on his existing restaurant in Stafford.
Yeah, I should add, as a point of interest is that Mark did have a buyer that wanted to go through and purchase the building, but I think the gentleman ran into problems with the bank as far as financing some other things. So I don't know if there's been any hesitancy with the banking industry right now with financing of new restaurants because of the COVID situation. But he had the guy who was all gung ho, but he couldn't get through the financing part of it. So it could have been the guy just didn't have a good financial credit rating either. But so there's been some interest here lately in that building.
Yeah, that whole area, and there really hasn't been anything else happening with the 19-acre property on the corner of 74 and 44. I was hoping to get Gary Lawrence on the line on that one to see if there's any interest, but they're desperate to sell that property. So there's movement around there. And for what it's worth, the Fifth Products building is basically, rented out, even though some of the buildings are not that visible from the outside. The post office building is pretty much rented out, but the guy that's renting the other half of it is doing a wholesale business of selling antiques, so he doesn't want to have any sign on the place. And then the building up by the road going into the dump, that's pretty much filled too. So it looks like we have a lot of buildings empty, but it's not as bad as it really is when you take into account that people don't want to put up signs. And one of the things that I mentioned last time is that we do have with our membership in CEDAS, we can put up listings for any of the properties on those areas. So, you know, if we want to, if Pence wants to have a listing that we can sponsor, we can put that up for him. And I think I put a link out for that, you know, to the group last time. I mean, we can ask him if he wants that listing, which kind of comes gratis, no cost to him. And we do the same thing for the, you know, the 19-acre parcel too.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, we've worked that before. I think it's a great offer to make. It doesn't hurt. It makes it look like we have things to sell.
Dick, do you know if the 19-acre parcel, are they working with a real commercial realtor now? Is it listed?
It's not listed with a realtor. They're trying to sell it on their own.
Okay.
They're desperate to get rid of it and trying to unburden themselves from it. And they've had several realtors work with them and nothing's happened. So, you know, we could work with them to put it up on that listing on their own. So
Yep.
I can reach out to them. Okay. I think we've beaten that one to death. Time for you to finger puppets, Christina.
Well, did anybody have any luck logging into the site?
Christina, I tried and it leads me to enter my email and my password. I don't know what that would be.
Yeah, that was in the email. So
Okay.
it's the username is Dick WEDC admin. That should be in the email. You can copy it and then paste it. And then the password you can copy and paste as well.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And then make sure you click that box that says
I
I'm
did. I
not a
saw
robot.
the robot thing. Yep.
Okay, but I'll just give a run through. So what I did is I, went through each page and just made sure it was up to date. So, for example, on the page about Ashford, Connecticut, there was a PDF people can download. I updated that and made it a PDF where you can actually type in your responses just to make it easier for people. And I also embedded a form on that page that people can fill out. And that's the commercial inquiry form. So people who are looking for space for their business. So I just tried to make that easier for people to use. There's a page about facts about Ashford. There was a broken link on that page that I fixed. I updated the link to the new CERC profile. I updated business demographics and Ashford demographics. The tourism page, I added a few more tourism pages. The getting started page, I updated a photo. For the planning areas, and so this was, I think, one of the bigger areas to change to make it fit with the new plan of, or newer plan of conservation and development, because there was quite a number. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. It's about 8 or 9 planning areas in the previous version, and the new version just has, I think, 3 planning areas. Is that right?
No, there is
4.
There is the interstate. There is the technology area, which is out on 44 near the town line. And then there is the Warrenville, Ashford, West Ashford area. And then there's the lake area.
Right. Yes. Okay. So I did change that. So it's got those 4 planning areas, and I updated the map to match that as well. So that was sort of
Christina, I have the Word versions of all of the POCD. you've got the PDF versions. Are those good enough for you to do what you're doing?
Yes.
I mean, I could, stop by your house and give you a thumb drive of the Word ones if it would help.
No, it really doesn't matter. I was able to pull whatever text I needed, and actually the PDFs, I was able to grab the images and cut and edit them. So it worked out fine just using the PDFs.
Okay, well, if you do need that, I can easily do that for you.
Okay. So the planning areas are updated. The business resources, I updated the links. That was a page that has a bunch of links, like to the DECD and a bunch of different resources for businesses, and a lot of them were like they don't exist anymore. So I was able to update those. You guys really did pick the right person to do this, because I helped put together a magazine for the Hartford Business Journal for many years called Doing Business in Connecticut, which was basically just a giant magazine of resources for businesses. So that's something that I know a lot about.
Hey, Christina, before you move on, I'm on the backside of, I got into the backside of the website. Is there a view that I should be looking for?
So if you click on the upper left-hand corner, there's a little house icon that says Ashford EDC, and then you can click visit site.
Oh, okay.
And that should take you to the staging site.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Got it.
Did that work? Okay, so yeah, now you can see exactly what I've been saying.
Yep.
So Margie got into the site. It is possible. And so pretty much everything's updated. Oh, the contact us page I updated with all the current board member information. The only things that are outstanding that still need to be done would be that there is a news page with press releases, and that needs some attention. And then also the homepage has a little blurb about Yeagle Technologies that we discussed, changing that over to Sean Patrick Plants. And then there was a document, Dick, that I sent you, and I'm just looking for it in my notes. Oh, it's a document called Doing Business in Ashford.
Yeah, and I had got that in a Word document. I sent it to Mike Tomato at the town hall and asked him to update it with the current people, because a lot of the contacts, and he's also changed a lot of the process of doing things to online as opposed to in person. So I'll get back after him to update that, but we'll get that document updated.
Yeah, as soon as it's updated, it's very easy to just pop it up on the website.
Yeah, and besides doing it on the website, we have had that as a handout when you go, well, if and when we ever get to the point of going into the town hall, it used to be there to hand out to people that wanted to do business in town. So that'll be a document that we can do, and I'll close the loop with Mike to get him to look at that again.
So what I would suggest at this point is let's just go live with this site. We don't have to publicize it right away, but let's just get it live so everybody in this group can see it easily, and then give notes if there are notes, and then we can make those final little updates. And then once we're really confident, then you can start promoting it, on Facebook and sending out some emails and whatever you want to do to promote it. But I think it's at a position where, it's up to date. It's not an embarrassment. Let's get it live. We'll ask, I can ask MadCom to do that. It should be a simple flipping of a switch. So that would be my recommendation.
Did you see the email I got from Kyle?
Yes. Yep.
Saying he needs to do some things. I think
Yeah.
if you could contact him and find out what those things are and kind of expedite that would be good.
Yeah, let me just look at that again. I did look at it, but let me read it again. Email me after you make the site live so I can do some cleanup to remove staging website and make sure that you guys are all set with server settings. Yeah. No, I would have to contact him to make it go live. So he'll be part of the process.
So it's been a long time coming. Margaret, I recall us sitting underneath your trellis and flowers talking about this, I don't know how many years ago.
Yeah, well, it's good. And then once it goes live, like you said, I think it's basically intact. There may be some enhancements that we can make then, to it, but there may be a few more tourism businesses now, for example, that we could add to that. Briley, like, they bring a lot of visitors to town and they're a big taxpayer. We should probably list them as a tourist asset, right? So, but we can go through it and then just figure out what more can we do for pictures and,
Yeah, when we get to it, Bob has got a updated list of tourism for the town,
right.
and we could just export all of that right to this site.
And
Part of
send
me
that
just,
to Christina.
I just feel like because we are Ashford economic development, that we really, I think, need to be showing the businesses that are vibrant businesses, the Yagels and the new place up at 84. Like I want businesses to see themselves here, and that we're, not as much on the pretty pictures of the country aspect of it. Like, we're here to do business. And I think that we just need to be, focused on showing that there are business, that there are different kinds of businesses here. So, but this is great. It's so nice to have it live again, and or close to live, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah,
Thank
Margaret,
you, Christine.
if you look at the list that Bob had put together to update the Chamber of Commerce list that didn't make it,
Yep.
there's
There's a
dozens
lot. I know.
dozens of stuff there, and we put
Yeah.
all that stuff in there that really promotes it. And I think this whole idea of promoting Ashford as a place to go hiking and go biking is a positive thing too.
Well,
Yeah, it's like,
I just added Briley to the tourism page, so that's done.
oh,
And,
great.
yeah, anything else? It's very simple to make these updates. So like I said, as soon as I have it live, and then I can send out the link to everybody, and there won't be any annoying login. Everybody can look at it and then go, oh, we need this, and then we can get it really.
Yeah, but if we take that little spreadsheet table that we did, that Bob and I did, you might be able to make it look better, but you could say, read about more of our destinations, our tourist stops, and it becomes another page, that's there, and with a little description of each of the places. I think, that's not a bad thing.
And Christina, I also can send you the Northeastern Connecticut Visitors Guide, and you can look at the Ashford page. I mean, we're going to get to this, but it's kind of laid out kind of nice. It says the great outdoors is headlined, farms and vineyards, dining, attractions, and lodging. So, maybe somehow we could get that in some type of format too. Anyway, just to get your wheels turning a little bit.
Yeah, to link to it anyway.
Right.
If you want to send it to me, that would be great.
Sure.
You have my email, I think.
I think I do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Christine, it looks like you've made some great headway on all that. Mike, you want to talk a bit about Our Town, Our Future?
Yes, Our Town, Our Future. We did finally have a meeting, an alleged meeting this past couple weeks ago, I guess. And we basically are trying to look to move forward, like I said before, on the community connectivity grant concept. So I think, again, I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but I think that's something we as the EDC should look at as well, and kind of come up with a strategy as to how we want to approach that. You know, because it is a big project, it is a big lift, but you know, there's likely to be funds available come the fall, another round of session, another application process come October, November. And if the president's transportation bill goes through, there could also be some additional funding there. So there's really an opportunity, I think, to seize the moment, as we say. And so I think I think we should really look for maybe for the next meeting to kind of really roll up our sleeves a little bit and come with some ideas on how to approach this. So that maybe by summertime that we can approach the Board of Selectmen and say, hey, this is what we think we can be doing. And I think Nord's bike path vision has a big play in this. I think the tourism, all the things we're talking about biking and trails and tourism and all that play into this. So I think it's an opportunity again that we, you know, if this isn't what we're going to be able to do, then I don't think we'll have anything in the foreseeable future to be able to leverage to be able to work on this. So that is the one thing that we really discussed that evening. We're looking for new members. So if there's anybody who would like to be a member of Our Town, Our Future, we're trying to kind of re-energize ourselves a little bit after this layoff. And I'd also say that we still have these opportunities to move forward on a lot of different things. And but I think it's a matter of just putting in some more time on it. I would also add, Dick, and you know, these meetings, I did find out because our last meeting wasn't official, that the town does have their own Zoom platform that you can go through. I guess Cheryl Baker, you send the agendas through her and she will set it up with the facilitator and to get the Zoom meetings put on officially, because they have to be recorded and all that. So it's kind of a sidebar.
One of the things I mentioned at the last meeting, it was an official one using Mike's Zoom account. Margaret, you're one of the contributors to the Our Town of Future Facebook page.
Yes.
I think if you could find the time when this thing meets to participate, that would be a good addition.
Yeah,
to the
no,
group.
I'd like to. That would be good, because I
great.
still believe in that. I think that was a brilliant thing that you all created, and I just love the informality of it, right? It's just so, it's like a loosely organized, not an official town, you know, boards and commissions. It kind of exists out of that, and I love the way it's worked. So I'll do my best to try to come.
So Mike, if you could add Margaret to the distribution. And
Yes.
you're searching for a new date for the meeting to accommodate
Right, one of our members. I mean, it might be a challenge because the town calendar is somewhat filled and we can't have two Zoom meetings at the same time, obviously. So we have to pick a time when someone else isn't using that platform. But we'll work on it. So thank you, Margaret. Appreciate that. You're a great addition. So that'll really maybe get us get energized here again. We've kind of had this layoff and really have kind of not done anything, quite frankly. So thank you.
Okay, moving along. We really don't have much to report on 6D, which is the retail service enterprise zone. We talked about a lot of that already. Wagon shed. I'm not sure what it all means, other than I did receive an email from Catherine indicating that they had passed a resolution to hold an auction to take possession of the wagon shed properties. I sent a note back to her saying, well, what does this really mean? Is this just a formality? Because I had sent previously to her the documents that Bill Darcy had prepared that indicated that we could take possession of the property without incurring liability. And never received much back from her or Christine Abakoff, but she did thank me for sending that to her. If the town does take possession, and really the resolution was to hold a tax sale. So, and if the tax sale doesn't come forth with someone buying it, it means the town would take possession. And
By
I don't know,
default?
excuse me?
By default?
Yeah, and my sense was that to do that, you had to evoke all the things that Bill Darcy had put together. So haven't heard anything back from her on that, other than the fact that they are moving forward with something. They're currently petitioning Deep to get $250,000 to $300,000 to do the minimal remediation. And it's joint with Town of Wellington. So it seems to be moving forward a bit, very small. And the comment that she had made at the last meeting is that she was open, as was the big Board of Selectmen, for EDC to take an active role in the marketing. So we'll see what all that means.
Dick, I might be able, I got the same, CC on the same email. And I did call her and, but I was able to glean that they did have a meeting. The Board of Selectmen did have a meeting with the Town of Wellington. And I guess they were advised this was like the next step. And I think they're not going to take, if they go to tax sale, nobody buys the $800 or $1 million worth of back taxes on the property and assumes all the liability, which that won't happen. And they're really trying to line this thing up to when that time comes when the property could be, probably assumed free and clear of any problems with it. So that, I mean, this is like part of the process that kind of aligns with what Bill Darcy was talking about. I don't think the town will take possession until such time as there's a simultaneous constructed contract with Deep and EPA regarding liability issues. So I think it's just the next process. So I think it's good news that they're moving forward on that front. They're moving forward on the front of trying to finally remediate the site fully so that it doesn't have any other issues. So it's all good news, I think.
So I don't think there's anything we can do other than kind of hang in the abeyance and see what happens. I was trying to find Bill Darcy's email, and the ones I had for him were all not working any longer. So I'll have to try to see if I can track him down. Be curious to what he would think of all this. We still have.
What is the zoning for that property?
It is a special zone called a technology zone, which includes basically commercial plus kind of research type things and open space. So it is less industrial than Exit 72, but it is still more in line with commercial. The intent was to do some sort of a technology zone, something like what's going on at UConn. But whether or not such a thing would be viable, frankly, what would probably be the more realistic use for the property would be something that was proposed decades ago, which would be to build a golf course there. And that was actually proposed and came close to happening before all the problems with Kettle Rock had taken place. So, it's not going to become a super high intensity development area. And especially where you've got all of the stuff at UConn. I don't know if anyone has gone down to UConn and driven through their technology zone area. It's basically 10% developed. So people are going to develop, they're going to develop there. They're not going to come up to Ashford and develop here. So it's a case of trying to find something that would fit in there that would meet the need. And I think something less technology focused is more likely to happen. My personal opinion.
Well, the other benefit right now is the Four Corners. So the technology park that UConn is invested in, plus the training school property, which is state-owned land, and where the prison was on the other side, all the way up to Four Corners, is really considered an opportunity zone, and it's apparently the largest available opportunity zone for development, that's certified with this federal opportunity zone financing and funding incentives. It's the largest parcel in the state of Connecticut. So, it's sort of poised between the town of Mansfield and UConn that if development happens, right, it's financially, there's a lot of opportunity there. But considering that this parcel is then, just X miles up the road on 44, it may take some time, but I do think, being a large parcel that is on the main road is a positive. But you're right, it just depends how quickly, the whole Four Corners and that whole opportunity zone lights up.
Yeah. And frankly, I'm not a golfer. Mike, you can kind of comment on this, but there aren't a whole lot of golf courses, right around, Ashford and Stores. So at one point in time, that was looked upon as being a great location for a golf course. So whether that could, at least for part of it, happen again, who knows?
Or have you guys heard about the agbotic development that's being talked about in Mansfield? It's some sort of kind of industrial farming kind of thing. And I think it'd be up like on Stearns Road in Mansfield. And of course so there are some people in Mansfield who are not happy about the idea, but maybe that would be a great thing. We could steal them to come pay some taxes in Ashford. It's a big greenhouse operation. It's kind of cool.
It's not industrial farming. It's farming under glass. It's what Holland, right? It's the way all of this food production needs to start to happen. So it's it's 6 large greenhouses. Definitely some folks not in favor of it. It's on protected land is what they're proposing. So they go to a public hearing next week on it. It will be interesting to see what their planning and zoning chooses to do with it. But it's encouraging to think that somebody who has this large greenhouse operation in New York, found northeastern Connecticut and decided that this is where he wanted to plant his, this greenhouse business growing for the wholesale market for supermarkets and whatnot. So
I had a chance 6 or 8 months ago to go to a place in Eastford that's right on the Eastford-Westford Road, and they do hydroponic gardening for tomatoes and herbs and lettuce and stuff. They got a pretty big, large operation there.
yes.
So, I mean, I can't recall what they call themselves, but it's right there on the road. And I didn't even realize it was there because I had driven by it, I don't know how many times. But there is a market for this hydroponic stuff. And the food was pretty, interesting that they were making. So,
Well, it seems like very sustainable method of farming, which should be embraced. So interesting to see how that'll wash out.
So, I mean, the key thing that I think for the EDC is that we maintain our role of being able to be part of the proactive marketing of this whole place. So whether it be a golf course or a tennis course or hydroponic gardening or what have you, that we can at least be in the loop as it's taken place. And so far, Catherine has been kind enough to keep us in the loop. And Mike, whatever she keeps you in the loop, keep us all in the loop.
Don't rule out the idea of a solar farm there also.
You know, the solar farm thing is it's interesting. You can put the solar panels on some areas that are not, you got to be careful. You're not putting them on good farmland. You put them on less than desirable land. Solar farms would make sense, but I follow all of the ZREC and LREC and all the grants that the state's doing on this. It is, right now, the big push is to put solar panels on municipal and other large buildings and make them partly owned by residential areas. The solar panels on independently owned areas are not in favor at present. The other thing that is facing a lot of headwind is putting wind farms out in Long Island Sound. There is a significant resistance to doing that by folks on Long Island and folks also in Connecticut, because so many of these offshore wind farms are going into sensitive habitats for offshore fisheries. So there's going to be a lot of conflicts with putting these renewable energy facilities in places where it conflicts with other conservation areas. So anyhow, guys, have we beat the horse to death?
I think so.
Motion to close?
Okay. Hey, John, thank you for making it in to join us. So we had our quorum.
No problem. I was just, my sister-in-law came down from Maine and she drove into my brother-in-law's brand new garage doors and he had asked me to try to help get it back on track. So that's where I was.
It reminds me, years and years and years ago, after my late wife died, with her daughter and I cleaned up the place, and I was completely out of it in terms of paying attention to stuff. I got into my truck and put it into gear and backed onto the garage door without even opening the garage door and did a job on it. So
Well, that would be one reason to back into a garage door, but hers was completely chemically driven. So we'll call it.
And we all, like said, we missed our family through COVID, and now they're coming back and ruining our garage doors.
okay, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
thank you, Christina, for the work on the website.
Yeah, it looks really good,
Exciting.
Christina. It does look great.
So one other question, I really was like, had a very gentle hand because, I didn't want to change too much. If it was done in a certain way, I don't want to step on any toes or like, no, but if like, I am more than happy to have a heavier hand, because what I kind of was hearing is like, add more of the tourism businesses and, I can get a little bit fancier, but I just wanted to have a gentle touch.
500.
But if you guys aren't really like wedded to what's there, I can take a little bit more liberty.
Yeah, I mean, we wrote this several years ago, and so some of it's, very generic and it still works. But I think that we really, I still believe in what we say on our logo, right? Like part of the economic development and this whole buy local thing was to get our own our own residents engaged with supporting their local businesses. So a little bit of it was this buy local kind of a rah-rah element. And how do you find local businesses? And so we actually had a whole piece where we had sort of a table where you could search if you were looking to have your roof fixed, or if you were looking for a restaurant, you were looking for B&Bs for your relatives to stay in when they came to visit, like where we were really trying to have it be a site where people could go and find, this was an element before there was an ABA that we were trying to fill there. So, the question I guess is do we want to promote the businesses that we have, or is that the ABA job? But I do think that we can broadly talk about some of the categories of businesses that we host, even if we don't name them all by name. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's a way to, so that we prove that there is our businesses here. But I would say if you feel that something needs to be attended to, I would say make the suggestion, because it's been a long time since we drafted that copy. So I think we could probably improve it. So
I would say go forward and be aggressive. Nothing wrong with attaching a lot of the links to what's on the ABA, even though a lot of the ABA folks are not necessarily in Ashford, they're still local. And Sean Redmeyer was going to get a list of the other businesses in town that maybe may or may not be part of the ABA. So I think we want to include those too. But I would say be more aggressive. We can always go back and modify what's there. This is not like it's set in stone. So, I mean, go forth and do what you see to be the best way to do it, and we'll and make sure we get a way to look at it. We can all make comments, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll try again. Motion to adjourn.
Second John's motion.
Absolutely, I'll third it.
Good night, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you for
John,
everyone,
thank you. Bye.
everyone for participating. Appreciate it.
No, I'm just wondering how I got it. What? That's great.
To give them treats.
He had one treat.